The Q collar. This is going to be an interesting one for us to share. On this channel, we like to be the leaders in giving you the latest and greatest or the newest advancements, cutting edge tech in the hockey space. This definitely fits the bill. This is something that a lot of you may not have come across before. Some of you may have. Some of you may have some opinions about this one, which is completely fair. But what we want to do in this video, first and foremost, is we want you to watch it with an open mind. This isn't a product that we're saying that you must go out and buy, that you need to go out and buy. What I want to do is give you the information about the Q collar to let you make your own informed decision about what you would like to do. But for us here at the channel, this is something that we're really excited to see. And we know that there's a few of us that are on the channel that are already wearing this right now. If you've kept your eyes open and you've seen a few previous videos, we've had this on in a couple of those videos. And it's something that I know some of the guys on the channel are going to be wearing. Some of them are still kind of figuring out and learning. That's what this is about. But let's approach this video with an open mind. And what we're going to be focusing on primarily is what this device feels like to wear. I'm going to be sharing, of course, the claims that Q collar have about how it works, what it does for our bodies, etc. So let's jump into this one with an open mind and take a look at the Q collar.
New one, Q collar.
Once I got on the ice and I started training and get involved in actually playing, I stopped thinking about it at all.
Seeing the Q collar come into play and start to make its way into the game is really exciting. I've been wearing it for probably 2 weeks now.
As soon as I stepped on the ice, I forgot about it straight away actually. And then Chris asked me after a little while what I thought about it, and I had forgotten I even had it on.
So before we touch on how the Q collar actually works, what its benefits are, what's the science behind it, I think it's important to look at how a hockey helmet works. Now with this particular helmet over here, or any helmet in hockey, when you sustain an impact on the ice, what the helmet does is it spreads the force of that impact around the shell of the helmet to essentially avoid it from being concentrated on one point in your head, hopefully reducing the chance of your head being injured or your skull being injured from the outside. What the helmet doesn't do is protect the brain from the inside. Now this is where the device Q collar comes in. What this device does when you put it onto your neck is that it adds a little bit of light pressure onto your neck, probably about the same as me resting very gently 2 fingers onto my neck. It's nothing crazy. But when you apply that pressure to the neck, what it does is that it increases the volume of blood to the brain, which better cushions the brain inside the skull. Now when your brain moves around inside the skull, bashes around the inside of the skull, that's called slosh. What that results in is brain injuries and damage to your brain tissue itself. And there are a whole host of horrendous things that can happen as a result of that. This collar increases the volume of blood to the brain, which reduces the chance of the brain being able to move around inside the skull, impacting the sides of your skull, creating these brain injuries. Now, the way that you could think of that is almost like a safety belt inside a car, keeping you fastened and strapped to the seat, so you aren't rolling and being thrown around inside the vehicle, sustaining injuries everywhere during a potential impact of that car. Another analogy that I like to use that's a bit funny, but hopefully you'll see what I mean, is imagine a container filled with water, a spherical or sphere circular container filled with water about halfway, with a ball floating in the middle of it. If you were to hold that container and shake it violently, because it's half filled, the ball floating inside it would impact the sides of the container very easily. So essentially think of the ball inside the container as your brain, the fluid inside the container around the ball as the cerebral fluid around the brain, and of course the container itself as your skull. Now if we were to completely fill this container with water right to the top so there was no empty space and had that same ball floating in the middle of the container and we were to shake it, because we've increased the volume of liquid inside that container and there's no more empty space for it to kind of roll around in, it's going to seriously reduce the possibility of that ball being able to impact the sides of the container. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. So what the Q collar is doing is increasing the blood volume in the venous structure to reduce movement of the brain during repeated impacts, to reduce the possibility of brain injuries, and of course helping the health and the condition of our brain tissue because of reducing the amount of impacts it sustains because of increasing the blood volume in the venous structure of the brain. The Q collar is also the only device of its kind that is FDA cleared or FDA authorized and is safe for us to use as players on the ice. In addition to this, it's also FSA and also HSA enabled. Some of these independent studies have been done by West Virginia University, the University of Toronto, Cincinnati Children's Hospital. All of those links will be down below in the video description for you to check out. Now, of course, a big one is going to be, it sounds like it's a great device, but who can use it? Hockey players from the ages of 13 and above are essentially good to use the Q collar. Now, in addition to this, of course, you're going to want to know what it feels like when you're using it on the ice. I'm going to hand over to our Canadian player, Sean, and also our English player, Tommy, who are going to touch on what it's been like using the Q collar for the last few weeks on the ice during training and also practices in games. So I'll pass over to them in a minute. But for myself, the only way that I can explain it is, of course, you have a device that's on your neck that's applying light pressure to your neck. It's not uncomfortable. It doesn't impede on your performance, your ability to breathe, your comfort. You don't feel like you're being inhibited in any way, shape, or form. It's essentially the same sort of level of pressure as somebody resting two fingers quite gently on your neck. It's something that you can feel, but after about 10-15 minutes, it's something that you quickly forget while you're in the middle of doing drills, or if you're in the middle of playing a game. So it's not something that you should worry about at all. But it's so important for me to mention, this thing does not restrict the natural way that the body works to allow you to perform on the ice. It's simply applying a little bit of pressure to your neck that increases the blood volume to your brain. It's not a process you can feel happening. If you've got any questions, leave them down below, but I'll hand over to Tommy and Sean, who can share their experience of what Q collar's like on the ice.
Can you see it a little bit better now, or no?
Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, my experience with the Q collar, when you first put it on, it feels, you feel the pressure that you're meant to get from it, and obviously hockey players are not used to that. The only thing we're used to being on our necks while we're playing is a neck guard, and it's not as tight as what this is. It's not like you can't breathe, but it's definitely more pressure than what a neck guard would put on you. Once I got on the ice and I started training and get involved in actually playing, I stopped thinking about it at all, and time just flies by and you forget you even have it on. I mean, I've got a white one on here, which is actually a lovely pathway, and we're talking about the skins that come with it. This is the plain one, which doesn't look bad, but you've actually got skins that you could put on it. You've got grey on the boards in front of Chris, you've got a white one there too, and that's why I've got a white one. It not only does it make it look better, I actually think it makes it a little bit more comfortable because it's not plastic straight on your neck. And when you think about it, you spend all this money on skates and chest protectors and all that stuff. If this is going to help protect your brain, then why would you not do it, right?
New one, Q collar, something really interesting and something that our games need to see for a long time. Obviously, we've always worn helmets, but new medical device. Obviously, we play a rough sport and there's a lot of hitting, a lot of body contact, and there's always a risk to your head in general. So seeing the Q collar come into play and start to make its way into the game is really exciting. I've been wearing it for probably 2 weeks now. It's pretty comfortable. I think the first couple times you wear it, there might be a little bit of pinching or kind of a sensation of gripping on your neck and some tightness, but over time, as you get used to it, it's just like wearing a neck guard. So really doesn't impact your play at all, doesn't get in your head, I mean, past the first skate. So I think it's important, us as hockey players, we look ahead to our future, our families who are going to come into our lives and our families who are presently in our life. Taking care of our brain is a lot more important than scoring any goal that we're ever going to do. So I've been playing hockey. I'm 26 years old. I've been playing hockey since I was 3 years old. Started contact in Pee Wee, which would be what, under 10 now, under 12, I think. So there's been a lot of contact towards my upper body and my head area. And as of right now, my head feels pretty healthy and safe. But I think if I would have been able to have access to technology like this here, who knows what I would have felt like, and could have been a blessing in disguise. Hopefully the younger generations coming up will be able to recognize that safety is the number one thing in all aspects of life. So throw it on, give it a try.
So the Q collar, first impression. I was a little unsure about it in the beginning. It felt off. I didn't like the tension around the neck. But as soon as I stepped on the ice, I forgot about it straight away, actually. And then Chris asked me after a little while what I thought about it, and I had forgotten I even had it on. But should I put it on for a game? Most definitely, especially now when it's faster than ever. But I really like the support it gets. So the tension around here gets you to not feel so sore in your neck. It also gives you a little better blood flow up to your brain, which is getting noticeable now on the later ends of the ice session. And it gave a lot of support also in the close corners when I really went into my body.
Like any new product in the hockey space, especially one that has a list of claims like this one does, there's going to be some opinions that are out there. But if you have any questions, I think the best way to get around that, leave them in the comment section. We'll answer what we know. I know the guys from Q Collar are also going to be in the comment section seeing what you guys are asking so they can answer from the professionals, so you can have any questions you have about the Q Collar answered. The initial video you saw was us giving you feedback about the Q Collar roughly 2 weeks after using the product, so using it and testing it for 2 weeks. Now that we're about 6 to 7 weeks after using the product, there'll be more content coming in the new year, so stand by for that. As always, big thank you for watching. Any questions, leave them down below in the comment section. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.